Welcome. We're back. Another day in the market. Saying my bit rate is lower than recommended. I think everything's good. How's everybody doing? All right, let's get started. Going to talk about Bitcoin, the overall market. It's crazy. Just volatility is wild right now. And yeah, let's get to it. We're going to start off with Bitcoin. Final stream of the week. Bitcoin pulled back about 1% today. I mean, Bitcoin's really just been going sideways for the past few days, which better than the market, which is just selling off. I mean, apart from today, but still a potential for a 4-hour inverse head and shoulders on Bitcoin. Neckline would be around 59.5k. And it looks like it broke out of this falling wedge on the daily, and it's just maybe back testing that breakout. And MACD's moving back towards the green, but nothing too much apart from that. Ethereum, really a flat day. However, look at this. What was once your supply line is actually a demand line because you just bounced off of it around 44.35 today. So that's interesting. See if that can hold. You have confirmed hidden bullish divergence on the daily. OMI has been running. It just pulled back like 5%, but kind of like a 3 white soldiers. I don't know. This way kind of messes it up. But nice price action. I mean, from that low on Sunday that we were talking about, the hammer candle, it made a 40% move almost. And we were talking about that candle on Sunday. I didn't even notice this originally, but you actually do have classic bullish divergence on the daily on the MACD. I'm looking at that correctly. Yeah. So you have that as well. Hopefully it can hold above 0.00604 from this high over here and kind of these lows. In terms of the crypto swings, Litecoin is down just a little bit since the entry, maybe like 1% or something. Not much of a technical change. You did have a bearish engulfing candle, but hidden bullish divergence is still developing. However, we did not really close any candles above this 209 level, which was a high from over here, a low from September 4th, a high from May 27th, and kind of a low from the end of April. So hopefully can eventually get back above that. OMG is to the cent at the entry right now. 2 or 3 days later, MACD crossed over to green. I just want to see it hold $8 in general. I mean, even if it breaks, I'd like to see it hold this low at 745 from that hammer candle. So still above support, you know, just not really a lot of movements in cryptos right now. They're just kind of like we had breakouts on like Sunday and Monday, I feel like, and now they're just kind of back testing, going sideways. We'll see. Same thing for Tesla, it's just still around the entry. I mean, a lot of these were up like, you know, 10, 12, 13%. Now they're back at the entry. And GRT has been the worst performing crypto alert. It's down 9% since Monday, but still just want to see it above that 84-cent support. And that's pretty much it for cryptos. In terms of stock futures, they're down about 0.5% red for the Nasdaq and the S&P, almost 1% red for the Russell 2000. So see what tomorrow looks like in terms of what's going on with the market. Take a look at this. We were looking at this demand line last night on the S&P 500 on the stream. You were looking and I was saying, look how kind of close at how I have this demand line chart. Now there's a few different ways to chart that demand line, but I was talking about, hey, look, it closed like right at it based on how I have it charted. And right off that demand line I have charted, it bounced up 1.5%. And now you actually have the chance of getting hidden bullish divergence on the daily for the S&P 500. And we've seen that play out a couple times. Right over here, you had hidden bullish divergence. Obviously, that played out. You had hidden bullish divergence over here, hidden bullish divergence over here. All these different hidden bullish divergences played out. You can see this one played out right there. This one played out over here. I don't know why my mouse is like lagging. Just the stream, it looks like it's lagging on. It's not like actually on my screen. That's so weird.
You sober enough to understand.
Oh, I am getting some issues. It's just my frames are dropping. I don't know why. The connection is fine, so we can still stream, but it's just a little bit annoying. So that's what we got now. You have hidden bullish divergence on the daily. I'm just going to keep the rest of them charted. Nice little bounce day for the S&P 500. Let's go over to the SPY. Let me chart that divergence as well over here. Here we go.
I still don't comprehend.
So there we go. Potential for hidden bullish divergence, which implies a continuation of the uptrend that the S&P is already in. And what else did we do today? I said last night on stream I want to see the SPY close above 454. It closed 3 points above that. So that's good. And even last night, I mean, if you look at my Twitter, I put out that tweet yesterday saying this looks like a potential area for a short-term bounce. I was a little bit skeptical about it like 10 minutes later because it ended up breaking that previous all-time high level. But today it reclaimed it, which is what I talked about last night on stream that I wanted to see today. So what I wanted to see today, we got, okay? We got a bounce the day I wanted to see a bounce. Last night I said I want to see it reclaim 454 on the S&P 500. Keyword on the S&P 500. We got that bounce. We closed above it. So now going into tomorrow, we clearly know that 454 is support. And then if that breaks, we have support around 450. So we have clear levels of support for tomorrow. That's good. That's great. S&P is doing what I wanted to do for right now. If we go over to the 1 hour chart, still kind of in this descending broadening wedge, finding a little bit of resistance around 458.5, but not too bad for right now. Okay, so what I wanted from today happened on the S&P. However, we go over to the Nasdaq. It did not close above the previous all-time high. It closed pretty much just under it. You could see this previous all-time high. It failed to close above it today. So that's another thing to keep in mind. It was even a high from October 26th. So going into tomorrow, if we do gap down because futures are red, you have that as resistance on the Nasdaq, right? So that's another thing to keep in mind. You're getting a little bit of divergence between the SPY and the Nasdaq in terms of what happened today with the S&P almost doubling the percentage gain that the Nasdaq had today. Of course, they're different indices. That's not maybe the best way to look at it. They have different levels of volatility, I believe. But, you know, just from a standard view of it, you broke under both of their previous all-time highs yesterday. The S&P was able to reclaim that as the close of the day. The Nasdaq was not. So that's really it. I mean, if we go down to the 1 hour chart, not really much to talk about here. It's finding a little bit of resistance around 15.4K. It's really, I think if this level can somehow break back above on the Nasdaq, then there's not much resistance to like 15.8K then. So you have like kind of like a 400 point range with not much resistance, maybe a little bit here at like 15.55. So that's your S&P Nasdaq. One other thing I forgot to mention on the S&P. So we talked about the hidden bullish divergence, the demand line bounce. Let's take a look at that. Okay, so this is the daily. This is your 100-day moving average, I believe. That's correct. So you didn't literally touch it, but you almost got there and you somewhat bounced off of it. Now, if we look at our 50 moving average as well, you somewhat bounced off of it. Now this is interesting because you could see on most of these bounces throughout the year was actually the green line, the 50-day moving average that it held. But on this bounce, it kind of was in between the 50 and the 100. It went under the 100 for a little bit. But over here you could see we're getting the bounce in between the 50 and the 100-day moving average for the S&P 500. So that's just something else that's interesting to see that I wanted to bring up. So on top of the demand line, on top of the moving averages, on top of the bullish divergence on the daily, what else do we have? Let's go over to the SPY. It's a little bit more clear there. We have a volume signature, okay? Take a look at this. You see what I'm saying here? On pretty much all of our bottoms since May, and I could probably go back more, but you get the point. On all the bottoms since May, it was your high volume around these levels, around 130 million over here, 130 million, 140, 150 million, 118. So like 120 to 150 million volume for the SPY was your bottom in May. It was your bottom on the dip in June. It was your bottom on the dip in July, bottom over here in October, and you're getting that same exact volume signature. Okay, it doesn't take a genius to figure that out. So that's another thing I'm looking at. So on the S&P itself, you're getting moving averages, demand lines, potential divergence, volume signatures, and that looks good to me. Of course, futures are down about 0.5%. So from a technical standpoint, the bull case is finally starting to show up for the S&P 500. I didn't say anything really bullish in these areas at all. Yesterday, I was thinking we're in for due for a short-term bounce. We got that today. And with these technical variables, we could get an extended move to the upside. However, it's not only technicals that are, the question at hand, right? We still have the variant. I think a case just got confirmed in New York. We also have potential for tapering going quicker than what most of us anticipated, or even the Fed anticipated or initially wanted, from what I understand. So you have both of that. You still have the question of inflation. So there's still a lot of fundamental things that can override everything I just talked about. But purely from a technical standpoint, you're starting to see variables on the S&P. So that's one thing I wanted to talk about. We talked about the Nasdaq already. The Russell 2000 bouncing around 213, and it bounced kind of off of its demand line. I mean, you have to kind of connect this candle body low to this candle wick low, and then it matches up over here. But yeah, somewhat towards this demand line and somewhat close to the bottom of this little range. Not much of any technical variables I really see here, unfortunately. This is a 1 hour view of the wedge, and I guess you do have triple classic bullish divergence currently playing out, and then a little bit of resistance around 220, which used to be a support over here and over here, and now it's kind of your resistance to pretty much close just under it. So that's really what you got for the Russell 2000. For the ARK ETF, I kind of cleared up my chart today, and look at this. Well, we're going to just talk about what's going on right now. So you're retesting your low of the year from May. You bounced off of it a little bit today. You actually had your low of the year today. Let me just confirm that. Yeah, you had your lowest price of the year for the ARK ETF today, but you bounced pretty much around that previous low as well. You are oversold on the ARK ETF for really the first time. I mean, kind of since May, which was this low as well. And also you could see, look at this. TA is so fake. 50% retrace, okay? Let's zoom back out. Zoom back out. From your major COVID crash low to your all-time high on the ARK ETF, tapped a 50% retrace, and today it got a 2.5% bounce right off of that fib level. So this is your big level, 96 to 97 for the ARK that you want to hold. If it can hold it, that would be pretty nice. Pretty easy to manage risk. Not a lot of variables like harmonics or divergence, but you are oversold. If this level eventually breaks, then just something cool to see, I guess. Look at the confluence with the fibs. I really hope that the ARK never goes down here, or at least in the short term, but there's always a possibility maybe if this level breaks eventually. But look at that. So you have your 50% retrace lining up with this low from over here and high from over here. We take a look at this 618 retrace. It lines up with this low over here from September of last year. And if we take a look at the 786, it lines up with this high from February of 2020 before the COVID crash, and this low from June of 2020. Even kind of the 886 somewhat lines up with this resistance level from 2018 to 2019. Just really interesting Fibonacci confluence right there. It's just kind of cool to see. I don't think we get down anywhere to these levels. I mean, unless you pretty much would have to have a crash for that to happen. I don't know, maybe if we did at some point, you could have a bullish bat at the 886 because that's a 50% retrace. But I really hope that, you know, that this does not happen. I guess you never know, but that's your ARK ETF. And yeah, I mean, apart from that, the VIX closed kind of back under this top of the range around 28.78 after trying to break out of it yesterday. It kind of went up to that 31.39 level we were talking about and rejected it. The US 10-year still just kind of testing this little support area. The dollar moving up a little bit. Gold moving down a little bit. And the Hang Seng Index is down 1.35% on the day. So it's really it for the market. I think the S&P, in my opinion, looks the best right now. The ARK, there's not really a lot of variables that are bullish or bearish, but the ARK's just at an important make or break area. The Nasdaq also, there's not many bullish or bearish variables, but it's at an important make or break area. The Russell 2000, it kind of got down to a make or break area, but bounced above it with the rest of the market. So that's what I'm looking at short term. I think the nicest thing right now is that we have clear levels just below us on most of the indices that we want to watch. For example, the bottom of this range on the Russell 2000. For example, that level at 97 we just talked about on the ARK. For example, the bottom of this range on the Dow Jones. Okay, so on all the different indices, we have clear levels, which makes it a lot easier to at least just take it day by day. So we'll see what futures look like in the morning. Right now they're pretty red. That's what's going on with the overall market. Apart from that, few swings to talk about. VLO is back in profit. Bullish engulfing candle today. Hidden bullish divergence is developing again. It closed back above this little zone over here and had a 6% day. It trades back up about a little bit over 0.5%. Looking good right now. Hopefully it can stay that way. It might just depend on the market, but nice bounce back day for this swing. SOFI got stop hunted, but ended up closing with almost a bullish pin bar candle, and it did close above the stop. Not really the same technicals as it was over here, but you still have the potential. Never mind, no you don't. So you've kind of just broken this. So at this point for SOFI, 1755 is just what you'd want to eventually reclaim. I think that's really about it. And honestly, right now, I don't know what I was doing, but this is not hidden bullish diversions because you made a lower low on both. So I just messed that up. So yeah, I mean, I guess it did break this supply line, and somehow if you really look at it, what was once a supply line is kind of your demand line. But you'd rather it get back above 1755. 4 hour was almost a bullish engulfing candle, and your RSI is oversold in the 4 hour. So honestly, I just like to see SOFI bottom here, but if it doesn't, then it gets stopped. And then finally, Microvast was down like 1%. Hammer candle today though, so interesting variables appearing. You're still outside of the wedge. That's pretty much it for the swings. We can talk about CLOV and Fisker. CLOV, doji candle. That's really it on the daily. You're still oversold. Nothing really changed. It was up 0.5%. They did put out a letter for shareholders on Twitter earlier today, which read, "We know that our investor community has many questions about our recent round of fundraising. That said, we are not able to communicate openly about the offering at this time because of SEC rules that limit what we can say about the fundraise. The quiet period relating to the fundraise will end in approximately 30 days after the pricing of the offering, after which we will be able to talk more openly and share information and thoughts on Clover. We are currently aiming to hold an Ask Me Anything after the quiet period, and we are planning to get out information in other public forums as well. Apologies for the radio silence so far, and we are looking forward to talking to everyone soon. The Clover team." So that was their message today. 1 hour chart, you have, I don't know why the RSI just did that, I just moved it. On the 1 hour MACD, you have triple classic bullish divergence confirmed. Pretty much a bullish engulfing candle over here with just 2 dojis after. You had a bullish pin bar candle at the low of the day as well. Nice bounce right off that 431 area, which was your low of the day, to close around 450. So nice little red screen there for CLOV today. Still just, this is how I'm viewing it on the 1 hour. It's a 1 hour chart. Fisker, fortunately, first day it's closed under 1940 since November 10th, and it also gave up this range we've been talking about. So break down on Fisker, we'll see if it can continue to confirm. You know, kind of did actually, broke down and then it retested was once a support as kind of a resistance, but it's just really where it closed. So I mean, of course I always hope Fisker goes up, but we do kind of have, I keep forgetting what's the name of the opposite of a 3 white soldiers. Somebody help me out here. You have the opposite of 3 white soldiers on the 4 hour, and then on the daily you broke your support you've been holding. So hopefully, I don't know, hopefully this just means nothing and it gets back above it. But if it doesn't and it keeps falling, I think 1567 is the clearest support. Like, you're only inches below this level, so I would prefer Fisker reclaims 1940 at some point. Otherwise, the next major support on the daily is 1567. But those are your levels. They've been charted for a while on my chart. So yeah, that's really it. 3 black crows, thank you. So that's Fisker, that's CLOV, and yeah, it's pretty much what I want to talk about. We'll talk about some trade recaps, and then maybe I'll get out of here a little bit early tonight. Let me read the chat first. Keep hitting the like button. I think this is the lowest amount of viewers we've had in months, potentially. So I don't want to say anything, but around, I'm just saying, I'm okay. Don't really want to say anything.